Mexico, land of enchantment, known for its beautiful sunsets and amazing landscape. But that's not all. New Mexico also has a rich history as well as culturally diverse heritage that still impacts the region today. In this digital short, we're going to explore different historical locations in the Southwest as well as their cultural significance to New Mexico. We begin our journey here in New Mexico State. Now, if you notice, the statue standing just directly to my right is known as the Traders. The artist, Duke Sons, built this bronze sculpture to represent his depiction of New Mexico. He focused on the people, their heritage, and New Mexico's natural beauty. Now, if you notice, we have three men in the sculpture. They represent the dominant cultures that make up New Mexico. They include American Indian, Hispanic, and Anglo-White. Set in the 1850s, while New Mexico was still a territory, these men would come together along places like the Santa Fe Trail and exchange their goods. This is also cultural exchange because they would take new goods with them and take them to new locations. We begin to see a spread of culture during this time. Why are we starting at this sculpture? Well, as we go through these different historical locations, it's important to note not only that they have importance in history, but also we want to reflect on the different cultures that make up New Mexico's landscape. It's because of men like these that New Mexico has a unique identity that we can still brag about today. Let's begin our journey. Prehistoric American Indian culture known as the Members Indians. The Members Indians are actually an enigma to archaeologists, and the reason for this is that they left behind some artifacts that gives us clues about their culture, but we can only speculate about their origins and their ultimate fate. What we do know all comes from the artifacts that they left behind, that they were amazing potters. In fact, they were far superior to any other American Indian group ever studied. Their most famous was the black and white pottery that they made. Now this is what we know about their pottery, but what we don't know is what happened to this group of people in the end. Though there is evidence to suggest that there was a mass exodus of this group of people over a period of a few years. So then the question becomes, well, why did they leave? Well, one theory is the fact that maybe they became overpopulated. They had too many members in their group and not enough natural resources. A more popular theory is the fact that possibly they ran into or were plagued by a drought. Now, if this is true and the drought lasted for more than a year, this could have affected their food supply, it could have depleted their water supply, and it could have forced them out of the area. But then that leaves the question, where did they go? And really, we don't have an answer to that either. There's no evidence that suggests that they left as a giant group and stayed somewhere else. So what theorists believe is that they actually integrated into other cultural groups. Now we're off to our next location. Hi, welcome to Mesilla. Originally founded in the 1850s. However, the history of Mesilla Valley goes back much further than that. In fact, some of the earliest inhabitants of the area were the nomadic American Indians known as the Mansos. We're not going to see a lot of action in the area until the signing of the treaty Guadalupe Hidalgo. Now in this treaty, it ended the Mexican and American War. The United States ended up gaining most of Mexico's northern territory, while Mexico was allowed to keep their southern territory. But it put Mesilla in a really awkward position because Mesilla and the surrounding area was all in a large land strip that was known as no man's land. This is because both Mexico as well as the United States claimed the territory to be their own. However, it's as a part of no man's land where Mesilla was founded. Now, Mesilla was originally founded by the Mexican government as a place where people who were living in northern Mexico could relocate to or move further south of if they didn't want to become members of the United States. So that's where Mesilla got its foundation. Mesilla's population began to grow. And as this happened, we see more and more raids by Apache Indians that lived nearby. They would come into the town and they would take horses, they would steal food and other supplies. Well, the citizens needed protection, so the Fort Fillmore, was founded just nearby. Once this happened, we're going to see more and more trade in Mesilla. So we're going to see Mesilla really flourish with all of this trade up until 1854. In 1854, the United States and Mexico decided that it was finally time to distinguish that border in no man's land. What belonged to Mexico, what belonged to the United States. So the United States decided to purchase all that strip of territory once known as no man's land. This became known as the Gadsden Purchase. Now, the Gadsden Purchase, signed in 1854, was signed here in this plaza. Why was it signed in the plaza? Well, the plaza really, in all Spanish and most Mexican cities, is the heart of the culture. It's where all the social activities take place, as well as most of the political events. And Mesilla was no exception. 1881 is also when we see Mesilla start to decline in population. It was in 1881 that the railroad company decided to build the railroad on the outskirts of Mesilla, closer to Las Cruces. So Las Cruces gained the county seat, as well as the population. People began to move out of Mesilla and into Las Cruces. Mesilla definitely saw a height of happiness as well as a small decline. But after the decline, we still see that it held incredibly important historical significance to New Mexico. In fact, in the 1950s, Mesilla was declared a state monument for its historical importance to the state, as well as its importance to the creation of the United States. So if you get a chance, come on down to Mesilla. Just by talking to the people, looking at the architecture, as well as eating some of the amazing food or participating in the events, you can feel the important Mexican culture that is still alive today. Hi, welcome to Shakespeare, one of New Mexico's many ghost towns. Now, as you can see, the ghost town is closed today, so we're going to be doing our filming on the outside instead of the inside. Now, there's a couple of facts about Shakespeare that you should probably know before we get started. The first is that it was a predominantly Anglo-white settlement during all of its years, and the second is that it actually went through quite a few different name changes. It didn't become the town of Shakespeare until 1879 during the second mining boom. It wasn't until about 1856, when New Mexico was a territory of the United States, that we saw the first building here. Now, the very first building was a military fort that acted as a relay station between Fort Thorne, near the Rio Grande, as well as Fort Buchanan, just outside of Tucson. Now, soon after that, the Butterfield Stagecoach also decided to build a station here. However, they closed their doors as soon as the Civil War broke out. Now, at the end of the Civil War, when things finally started to calm down, that's when we're going to start to see more people moving into the region as well. The Butterfield Stagecoach decided to reopen some of its locations, and one of them was here in this town. A gentleman by the name of John Everson came through here, and it was his responsibility to reopen the station. He noted that at that point in time, this settlement was known as Grant. Now, things were pretty calm in the region until about the 1870s, and it was during this time that different prospectors that were out looking for precious metals were here at this region and they found some silver ore in the surrounding area. Now, it's believed that one or two of these prospectors actually had a good connection in California. A gentleman by the name of William Ralston. Now, Ralston took an interest in the silver that was found here, and he decided to invest in starting a mining company. And he was able to do this because he was the president of the Bank of California in San Francisco. The town was so overjoyed by his investment that they decided to rename the town Ralston in his honor. Now, it's during this time that the town hits one of its biggest booms. Over 3,000 people come here to live and to start mining for silver. Now, the silver mines are going to dry up pretty quickly, only in about a couple of years. Rumors start to spread around the area that there were actually diamonds found in Lee Peak, which was just west of the town. So it's at this time we also see a lot of corruption because people start to sell supplies and land claims and all these other things to new prospectors that were coming to the area who were going out to actually try to find these diamonds. It turned out that the entire thing was a hoax, and so in 1872, everybody completely leaves the region, leaving only a very small population behind. One of the gentlemen that decided to stay had quite a few land claims in the area, and most of these land claims still had some silver in them. This gentleman was named Colonel William Boyle. It was in 1879 that Boyle decided to rename the town to wash away all the old scandals and everything and all the memories of those. So he renamed the town to Shakespeare, and that's the name that's remained ever since. In 1879, because William Boyle still had all these land claims, more and more people came to the region to start mining for silver once again. This time, all the people that came brought their families. So this was the second population boom that Shakespeare saw. With all these new families in town, you would think that the population would start to build a community, but they actually never built a church or a school, which are some of the basic foundations of a community. Now, it's possible that the railroad took note of this because when they decided to build a new railroad, they did it 3 miles outside of Shakespeare. It's during this time that the population of Shakespeare is actually going to move to Lordsburg and other locations that were closer to the railroad and out of Shakespeare. Just like Mesilla, this is when the town begins to decrease in population and in popularity. In fact, because the railroad moved, Shakespeare never saw the same glory that it once had, and it turned into the ghost town that stands behind us today.
Okay, so now I've given you a small taste of how New Mexico's history and its past has influenced the state. In fact, if you look at the scene behind me, you can see the Pueblo structure of houses that still exist today. These connections between the past and cultural influences today are endless. So now it's your turn. You and a partner will team up together and you will pick one cultural group from a list provided by me, and you're going to tell their story. You'll give us a little bit of history about the group itself as well as its cultural significance to the state of New Mexico. I'll provide not only an assignment sheet but also a rubric to help you along the way. Good luck, and I can't wait to see what you come up with.